Hey there, and welcome to the video. Welcome back to the channel if you're returning. Welcome for the first time if you're new here. Thanks for coming along for this video. So it's the age-old question. Should games have an easy mode? I mean, it is a tale as old as time, or at least since the 80s. Should all games include an easy mode? It's a debate that for some reason gets pretty heated at times, especially in comment sections of reviews where the reviewer said they couldn't finish a game because it was too hard. But you know what's not hard? Hitting that like button down below and the subscribe button if you like. But back to the video. The biggest game series that this question constantly gets raised about, though, are the Demon and Dark Souls games from Software, which I always hate saying from Software. Just grammatically, it hurts my skull. But it does come to, you always see when like a new Souls game comes out, a lot of people say they want to get into the game, especially Elden Ring. I mean, that's a Souls-like made by FromSoft. But the barrier of entry is too difficult because the game is too difficult. A lot of fans of the series go, just get good. And, spend the hours and hours learning the controls, the parries, the dodges, and then just die a lot to the bosses until you figure it all out. The counter argument to get good, though, has always been games should be accessible to all. And games like this are just too hard and not accessible. Why should gamers be left out of Souls games because they're not good enough? And me personally, I would argue that's the point of a Souls game, is the extreme difficulty. It's like trying to catch a hog doused in olive oil. There is a loose story and lore to these games, and if you've played the games, you know that the story and lore is not spelled out for you. You kind of have to search for it, like scraps of lore pieces, talk to NPCs to just get the basic plots. And just for Dark Souls, just kind of a refresher for something new. In Dark Souls, the players assume the role of a cursed human character who escaped from the Northern Undead Asylum and sets out to discover the fate of the undead humans. Like I said, the plot is told mostly through scraps of lore you find and through NPCs, like dialogue and things like that. So it's not a game that is full of cutscenes like, say, Alan Wake 2 or the Metal Gear Solid games that move the story forward. No, it's literally something you have to search out for. It's because of this I would wonder why would you want to play the game unless you want to experience the difficulty of it? I mean, the point of a Souls and Souls-like game is to learn the attacks of your opponents, figure out how best to defend against them, and then defeat them. It builds up the accomplishment when you succeed. I don't have a lot of experience with Souls-like games, but the few that I've played, when it gets especially when it gets really hard, when you finally defeat that boss or get past the level, there's a sense of accomplishment right there. But also a counterpoint to that. I'm currently playing through Alan Wake 1 Remastered, streaming it here on YouTube, also over at Twitch, twitch.tv/Nintendad_Ultra_64. Put that down here. And I'm playing it on easy because I want to experience the story of that game, a game that I beat on normal over a decade ago, and I don't really want difficulty with doing that. I just want to play and experience the story again. It's one of those things, now that I'm older and I have way more responsibilities, I don't have the time I once did. So if it's a story-driven game that offers an easy mode, especially if the endings don't change, like I get the same ending on easy as I do on normal, as I do on hard, I generally default to playing on easy so I can experience that story. It's a stark contrast to when I was younger and I had a ton of free time. I'd usually play the game on normal to first, and once I beat on normal, if I really liked the game and the experience of playing the game, I'd run that back on hard, or if offered extreme difficulty, just to challenge myself in playing through it again. And at that point, generally speaking, I'm not really hitting the story beats. I'm skipping the story because I enjoyed the gameplay and I wanted to play it on a harder difficulty. I think the last game I did that on was BioShock Infinite. I beat it on normal mode, played the hard mode, and then the extreme difficulty I think was 1899 mode, something like that. And I beat it on all the modes just because I really enjoyed playing the game. So I went back, challenged myself with it, had a blast. The last time I played a Souls-like game, though, was Neo on the PS4. I enjoyed that game quite a bit, and it's a difficult game. Because I haven't played Dark Souls or anything like that in a while, I can't really compare the difficulties, like if it's hard or not as hard. But when I was about halfway through the game, my work life and my general responsibilities started to ramp up, and I honestly like didn't pick the game back up for like a month later. And in that time, like my reflexes and all the techniques I've learned have kind of like been lost to memory, and I constantly got my ass handed to myself. But before the break, I would feel that sense of accomplishment when I'd complete a level, defeated a difficult boss or something like that. It was just part of the game. I was like, even though games you get trophies and achievements and stuff like that, even if you didn't get that little ding for an achievement for beating a boss, it felt like an achievement for me. So it's kind of like that's why I played those games. I know Neo has a little bit more story than Dark Souls, but at the same time, I wasn't really playing that game for the story. I played it because I wanted the experience of the difficulty of the game, and the titular character Neo looked really cool. In the end, though, like to conclude all this, I do think a story-driven game like your Alan Wakes, like your Metal Gear Solids, and things like that should offer an easy mode. I mean, they're immersive story games. They're games that you play to experience the story, and it does stink when there's a game like that and you can't experience the whole story because of how difficult it is. And a lot of those games, sometimes their difficulty when they ramp up kind of feel like cheating, unlike a good Souls-like game where when you die, there was a reason why you died, and you can learn from that reason, get better, and prevent that death. A lot of difficult story-driven games seem to just be cheap and kill you for no other reason. But yeah, like having like not having an easy mode, I feel on a story-driven game would be pointless, because no one skipped the cutscenes in those on your first playthrough. You want to experience that story. And on the flip side, having an easy mode on a Souls-like game would just be like skipping all the cutscenes for a story-driven game. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, you play a story-driven game for the story, you play a Souls-like for that experience, that difficulty. That's why you're playing it. So even though I don't play Souls-like games anymore, mostly because I don't have the time or the patience to get good, I don't want to see those games dumbed down just so anybody can pick it up and beat it on easy mode, because I think it loses its accomplishment. It loses its allure that way, to just bulldoze through a game like that. But I think having an easy mode on the story-driven games is the way to go. So the majority of the people who play them can experience, the complete story. So, I mean, that's where that's where I'm coming through on that kind of topic about easy modes and should you get good and things like that. I think it all depends on the type of games. I think the Souls games need to be left alone where they're at with their extreme difficulty, and the story-driven games, give an easy mode for those. Let like everybody play them, and then you have your platformers, like your Mario's and things like that. Those should definitely have a varying degree of difficulty, because adults and kids play them. So having a change of mode for those type of games for those type of gamers is always a good thing. So let me know what you think about that. Let me know your thoughts below. Do you think easy modes are kind of a cop-out for games? Should all games have an easy mode? Should Souls games have an easy mode? Let me know in the comments below, and I thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. And don't forget to catch the streams. Bye.